while we get it. Hopefully it's coming in clear again. Part two. So I'm working the chat and just trying to get some things organized. I remember that Brother George Mason and I did a slide that can actually add a little color to what I was trying to communicate. Who created ghettos? Looking a little bit deeper, this was Los Angeles. This was about redlining, and as you can see on the images there as they zoom all the way in, the redlining was a very real thing. Let's see. There's some good ones. Homeowners Loan Corporation, established in 1933, refinanced about 1 million mortgages, non-farm residences. It was about $3 billion long. It was a low down payment, low fixed, long-term fixed mortgage, fully amortized like that, paid without a second loan. The risk default concerns country risk assessment on 40,000 population cities. So that's a big sample group. Standardized appraisal process, best, desirable, declining, and then hazardous. So they put them in 4 buckets. Created residential security maps, color-coded green, blue, yellow, and red. Red being those that African Americans lived in. This was Los Angeles, for example, their region. In 1939, the Homeowners Loan Corporation categorization of neighborhoods characterized Mexicans in one of those neighborhoods as the right mix of social class, occupation, and skin color to climb the ladder of whiteness. This neighborhood received a C rating. On the other hand, in the nearby San Gabriel Valley, Washington neighborhood, one assessor referred to the neighborhood as full of dark-skinned babies and peon men. It comes as no surprise that the neighborhood was assigned a D rating. Presented at the National Museum of African History and Culture Center in 2018. Truth about redlining. This was one of the forms that they would use. Here we go. This is what I wanted to get to. So I had to zoom in. I also have a skill set when it comes to maps and topography and looking down and seeing what is there. And so I found my neighborhood, found the redlining that occurred, and then I wanted to highlight it by zooming in. Now this was done in 2019. All right, if you look at the color codes on the bottom, it gives you a by ethnicity. And in those areas by percentage, look at the colors. Those dark red ones are those blocks. That was black-owned neighborhoods all around. You can see my pointer. This is Grand Avenue. This then is Grant High School, notorious Grant High School, where the O'Shea Duke Jackson and I both will tell you about. And I lived on this block right here. All right, but we wanted to give a quick introduction there. Let me see if I can get through it pretty quickly here. Talks a little bit fast, so listen quick. And my apologies again if the technical difficulties take you away from this content. Introduction. This is the residual impact of history, connecting residential segregation, mortgage, redlining, and the housing crisis right there where I was raised, right? The ongoing wave of foreclosures in Sacramento County have placed the area in a state of economic crisis, increasing from a record low of 117 foreclosures in 2005 to almost 7,500 in 2007. That number by 2008, the mortgage crisis, the home crisis, 17,801. So nearly a 300% increase in 1 year. The flurry of news articles covering housing problems in Sacramento reported that the region's poorest neighborhoods have been hardest hit by these foreclosures, stemming from the current mortgage meltdown. 2 neighborhoods in particular have had a more difficult time than others in the region: Oak Park, located a short distance southeast of the Central Business District, and Del Paso Heights. Neighborhoods have plummeted up to 80% of their mid-2006 peak. Many of these properties have remained vacant for over a year, causing havoc for local building code inspectors, law enforcement, and residents, and they add to the growing inventory of homes for sale in the area's depressed real estate market. Investors and contractors sifting from the fallout of the mortgage meltdown are now buying houses for what one reporter notes is less than the cost of a Honda Accord. going to go into it. It's going to talk about the numbers, quick call outs, less than the cost of a Honda Accord, high yield to lenders and investors because these products feature rapidly adjusting interest rates, high origination fees, and short repayment periods that encourage periodic default. As a consequence, the Del Paso Heights and South Sacramento areas have experienced some of the highest foreclosure rates in the state and in the nation, according to Christie in 2007. If you look into the right map, I had to zoom out now because the football teams that we had to play against, those that were inside of schools with the technology and attracting high-income parents, households, that's all blue. That's all white. And when it comes to redlining, as we shown you the color earlier, that color was red. Now they're shifting that red to be Asian, but we know that's not the case on this small 1 dot equals 1 person map. And it just shows you the dispersion by ethnicity. Why is that important? You gotta get up out of this one and jump into this other joint here. Let's do it from here. Middle class economics, B1 Network, delivering content. Wealth, an abundance of valuable possessions, the state of being rich, material prosperity, plentiful supplies of a particular resource. In this case, it was those good houses. Energize, connect, develop. Those good schools, those good jobs, those good median incomes. Inequality, the state of not being equal, especially in status, rights, and other opportunities. These are the richest folks. I'm not against rich folks, but I am hopeful that they will do their fair share. You see Warren Buffett up there and Bill Gates, number 2 and number 3 in these pictures from the top left. Bezos in the very top left. You'll see Zuckerberg, Facebook, and that Libra coin. That's going to be phenomenal. Hopefully the regulators don't intervene too much. So many others. But if they do their fair share, we can start to see inequity dissipate in our lifetime, billion by billion. Because a study of nearly 2 million American households with investment portfolios of $3 million or more found that more than 22% had between a quarter and half of their holdings in cash. Rewind, do that again. A study of nearly 2 million American households with investment portfolios of $3 million or more found that more than 22%, that's 440,000 households, had between a quarter, $750,000, and half, $1.5 million of their holdings in cash. This is just their investment portfolio. Not all of their money, not all of their savings, not their 401ks, retirements, just in their investments. You can go ahead, ask the question, what is a part of it? Just in cash, you're talking about your money market rate, you're talking about your savings and your checkings, and you might be even talking about your certificates of deposits. They're very liquid, they're fast. This is according to Chris Warren. He was one of the published contributors to Forbes. Let me break that down. If you look at on the left, we're talking about that super green. 893,000 households, investment portfolios worth from $3 million to $5 million. A total value of that one collective, 2.7 to 4.465, not billion, $1 trillion in just their investment portfolio alone. Group 2. And this is their cash in their investment portfolio. Their cash, not even their real estate, those big homes that we just showed you. When we showed you the depreciation of that real estate market right there in my neighborhood, to where you could buy properties next door to me for the price of a Honda Accord. Who do you think is going to be attracted to that type of investment? Who? What income level do you think you're talking about there? That income level that has the variable interest rates. That if you're not getting a variable interest rate, you're not getting a home. We're not talking about group 2, that Coke White, as you continue to move up this ladder. 680,000 American households with investment portfolios worth between $5 and $10 million. Total value 3.4 to 6.8, not billion, trillion dollars. And that old money, that old gold money, don't act funny, that old money, that old gold money in group 3, a smaller group. 250,000 households, 250,000 households with investment portfolios worth more than $10 million. Now that goes all the way up to those billionaires that I showed you. Why is this important? With a minimum total value of 2.7, not billion, but trillion dollars. Africa's richest man founded and chairs Dangote Cement, the continent's largest cement producer, which produces 44 million metric tons annually and plans to increase its output to 33% by 2020. I had a quote for this guy right here. It's a quote from history. You know, I like Black history, part of the B1. So to be a poor man is hard, but to be a poor race in a land of dollars is the very bottom of hardship. Shout out to boys, the souls of Black folks. If you haven't read that, read that. And if you're not really strong on reading, they do have the audio version right there on YouTube. I would recommend listening to chapter 2. Strive Masayiwa is the wealthiest man in Zimbabwe. So this guy, this guy is the richest man in Africa, the continent. And this is the richest man in Zimbabwe. Founder of Pan-African telecoms company Ethernet Wireless, which connects 13 countries with more than 60,000 kilometers of fiber optic cabling. Other assets include mobile phone networks, investments in fintech, and power distribution firms. And that's just me and white because I'm Black first. Okay, that's the beat that I bought from the homie. We could throw that in there. I'm wondering which of these do we actually need, because remember, we're talking about cash assets right now. $750,000 in savings per household. We're talking about cash assets right now. I know it looked like it glitched, but $750,000 in savings per household. We're talking about cash assets right there. I be wanting to go in on President Obama so hard, but I'm pro-Black and I'm not going to do that. I'd rather tell you why these folks who are making the decision are the ones who deserve the far more criticism from us. When they get in a room and make decisions, and those decisions end up being the foreclosure rates to where the homes that are inside of our neighborhoods can go for the price of a Honda Accord. But you're talking about people who don't have $600 a week in their income, let alone $600 a month that they can just put on a whole nother bill, an opportunity zone investment to buy out that block. One house at a time. You got to start looking at major committees, major players in this game we call life. One of those major players being the FDIC's Committee on Economic Inclusion, supposedly working on behalf of the least of these, focusing on small businesses, mortgage credit, consumer credit, insured deposits, and yes, this bullet where we would tell them they are failing is financial education. With key programs like Money Smart Financial Education Program and the Youth Banking Network. That Youth Banking Network, through people these things are done. I could tell you about that. But let's back up to Save to Win, an American Savings Promotion Act signed by President Obama December 18th of 2014, where there was prize-linked savings vehicles were collective interest of savers. So what you deposit into your savings account, into your money market or your CD, that collective interest, because you know they'll give you like 2% interest, but they'll lend it out for like high interest rates, variable interest rates. Guess who they were lending it to? With that variable interest rate that they were able to take up and up and up. Shout out to Federal, what is it, the Federal Reserve for lowering that right now. They lowered it probably like 25 basis points now. Every lowering counts, but hopefully they make that trickle throughout the economy. What up now? But it's redistributed via a raffle because you got to do something to get them invested, right? Is this the best you could do, my president? Excuse me, moving forward. FDIC National Survey of Unbanked and Underbanked Households. Executive summaries from 2017, opening sentence. The FDIC is committed to expanding Americans' access to safe, secure, and affordable banking services. I put in red that word access because it's a red alert situation and they're still talking about access. Talking about redlining and they're talking about access. Sample population, this one was significantly smaller than the one I gave you, but 35,000 households. Significant findings when examining the proportion of U.S. households, 6.5% are underbanked, meaning that no one, emphasis added, had a checking or savings account. That is 8.4 million American households that don't have checkings or savings account. 18.7 of them are underbanked, using alternatives like payday or title loans, check cashing, rent to own. Maybe you'll see them with a checking account. That's 24.2 million households. Not saving, just a checking account. Blacks make up 16.9% of unbanked households versus 3%. Top reasons why they don't have an account. They don't have enough money. They don't trust them. And then those fees. So I tell you, you got to look to people like this and say, what the fuck are you doing with our great economy? Fuck are you doing with our democracy? What the hell are you doing with our capitalism? Why the fuck is it all loans and no cash? Where the hell is my cash? Why the hell is my cash not in my pocket? Why is $750,000 going to somebody who's not even investing it, but I ain't got no money? Me and my wife. No money. Budweiser. Because there are super green 893,000 households with investment portfolios worth between $3 and $5 million. A total value of their net worth as a small collective is 2.7 to 4.465, not billion, but $trillion. Group 2 is Coke White on that chart. 680,000 households with investment portfolios worth from $5 to $10 million. Total value of that collective group is 3.4 to 6.8, not billion, but $1 trillion. Group 3, that old money, that old gold money. 250,000 households with investment portfolios worth more than $10 million each household. So you take that $10 million and you multiply it by the 250,000 households and you get a minimum total value. If you really start to stretch it out, it's minimum 2.7 trillion. And I didn't broke that all the way down too, but I just won't give it to you like that. Because what I would rather talk about is the unbanked and the underbanked. Woo. That 66.8% that only got a checking account. I could break it. I could show you that are living in home with their family or friends. Excuse me. Don't nobody even own the house? Savings accounts seem to be so common. Do you at least have a checking account? That should be common. If you're fully banked, it's most likely that you do. But if not, you're probably on a prepaid card. Look at that unbanked column. Look at those columns. So I turned data into these. I didn't do this chart. This is still the bigs, the federal, one of them federal banks. I think it was, who did it? Could have been Washington Mutual, maybe. I think that's Warren Buffett. I'm likely to go to their site. I can find it for you. No mainstream credit by household, race, and ethnicity, and low income and income level. This was 2017. It's by percent. Less than $15,000. How is that even still on the board here in America? How? And why is 67.8% of that black? Told you at some point we're gonna get tired of talking about dumb crap. 15,000 to 30,000. How much money is that? $600 a week? Why is that like 50%? And black and Hispanic, you add them together, it's almost everybody in that. It's almost everybody. Excuse me, it's not almost everybody. When you look at those numbers, you're talking about how many of our of people who are underbanked, who are unbanked, and you look at this demographic of $15,000 to $30,000. That's where their income level is on an annual level. And of that group, it's that 48.7% of those folks who are underbanked and unbanked. That is their income. That 30 to 50,000. And so the question is still how, because you still don't trust them. When they say we don't have any money, are all of your bills really consuming all of your income? In those groups, the answer is still yes. They say, what do I need a bank account for? They're just going to charge me fees, and I don't really got no money to put in it anyway. Become a part of the gang notification gang. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like this content, and you know someone else who also may like this content. Be sure to share it. We go in. And before I go into this, I still want you to know that this is about multiple active shooter scenarios, and sometimes they happen without warning from your state or your federal government, and you may need to be somebody who's in a position to go to drive. You may need to go and to drive. Some days you may need just a little warning. And if you don't got one, I think that the second remedy is probably to have some liquid or some cash on you. But if you got no money, we got resources. Got to jump right into the solution. The Black Business School. This is Boyce Watkins, I believe, who sends out these emails. He has a number of ways that he connects and engages with people. I'm a part of the email subscribe base, so he always sends these. I could look at the tops because I'm not a student. Some of the things that he talks about, I already know. It's good to listen, and I can learn a little bit more. It's good to get other perspectives, and sometimes I just need to get a break away from the news. The news can make you blue. You need to be gold. You need to get super green at the very minimum. And the only way we get that is through these type of conversations. Maybe I can connect with one person. And so I'm going to just put the information out there for everybody. And that one person, we be like, well, show me how you break these graphs down. Show me where you're getting your information. Show me your actual source. Break this down for me. Can you teach me? And I say, yes, my young brother, I got you. This one, he's talking about the stock market. It's on a tear, he says. Something ain't happening. It's been happening for a few years. It's going up, and you like to see up. So I'm going to do a quick little breakdown based upon the investment portfolio created in Seeking Alpha. Look on that small chart on the left. You'll see a couple of ticker symbols on the left there. AAPL, the BA. I believe that's Boeing. F is Ford. $10. I think it was up to like $15. It was down to like $2.75 a share when they filed bankruptcy and devastated Detroit with that announcement. Google, you'll see LMT, which I believe to be Lockheed Martin, defense and aerospace company there. NFLX, NOC, PYPL, I believe to be PayPal. WFC, I believe to be Wells Fargo. The prices to the right of those. So in that same order, that $359 per share. Defense and aerospace for Boeing. They make the planes. Delta, Ford, $10 a share. That is a space where if you're not happy with a 2% return, then something like that at $10 a share is very reasonable if you're just making your introduction. Now, I am not an investment strategizer or consultant, speculator, or none of that. I'm just breaking down the stocks because of the message that I got. I think I was supposed to actually put mine right there, but skip forward. 60% of underbanked had a credit card, which means they're moving in the wrong direction. They are borrowing rather than investing. Savings can help households better manage unexpected expenses, emergencies. Moses, what are you talking about? Such as a sudden illness, job loss, or home or car repairs. Some of them just need it for gas money. The absence of savings can sometimes be a barrier to financial security. Before you get there, are you good? You good, my bro? That's what we say. Are you good? Yeah, I work in corporate America. That's not me, but this is how I feel in corporate America. Like that guy who's trying to have an impact of big pond, little fish. second in command to the women who are getting those opportunities. I could agree that women have a creative way of breaking down information to where people can get it inside of those boardrooms. They try to dismiss them by saying they're passionate and oh well, you're too soft right here, you're going weak. But they can break that information down. Because to some, this is just politics. And when they get around those tables and start making those big decisions, military spending, aerospace, who gets the alert or not, for example, who gets the memo? Millennium Gates scholars are those people with 8.6 trillion to 13.765 trillion as a collective group. Do you think they get the memo? I wanted to go into this one, but I won't. I need to stay right here for a second. Of the Americans who have savings accounts, the median balance of transactional accounts is $4,500. Transactional meaning you can access it, you use it, it's going up and down periodically. Hopefully you're doing more up than down. If you find yourself going more down than up, then there's an issue that you might want to talk to somebody with. Just like on your credit cards, if that balance is going deeper and deeper rather than less and less to the point where it's zero, then you may need to speak to someone. But the average balance is $40,200 too. That's why they throw the average in there, because they can start to include middle class economics in there and make the numbers look very, very good. And if you just skip right over those millions and millions of households that don't, then you know it's easy to make those numbers look a little bit better. But I ain't got no 40,000 in mine. Not me. And this is according to the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, which is conducted every 3 years, most recently in 2016. The Fed defines transactional accounts as checking, savings, money market, and call accounts, as well as prepaid debit cards. Those same charts that I showed you. Retirement and brokerage accounts, for instance, would not qualify as transactional accounts. We ain't even talking about the 401k. Now, there we might be somewhere. There you might can include some folks. But we're just talking about in the money I got to spend. But right now, let me break it down for you. Living off interest, the charts, when you blow them all the way out, the money market account, what is the rate of return on it? 1.2%. 1.2%. So even with an initial investment of $50,000, which is astronomically high, I could double click in this bad boy and break this down to something more reasonable, but I won't do it. In fact, I should break it all the way down to that $4,500 that they said was in those savings accounts and show you that it adds no money, but wiser. Annual return of $50,000 is $600. A monthly return is $50. A daily allowance of about $1.67 if you don't spend it. Living off the interest, a high yield savings account, 0.2. No, what is it? It's actually 2%, but 2.15% return. Let me look at it. When I'm talking about this initial investment, take it from that left column, this column, and then this row. Add these up. We're just now getting to that $750,000 if they spread it out between their money market accounts, their high yield savings accounts, and their certificate of deposits. I'm just talking about that cash flow, very liquid that they have right now. This is them all together, but this is them even broken out. And then somebody more stewardess would probably take this information and say, well, which of these has the highest return? What happens if I shift it all over there? But somebody who knows the game says, well, this might be for my daughter. I have $150,000 and $150,000 for my son. I don't want to take them together because I do want them to be able to have some type of college trust. And so if I want to shift this money into a trust from a high yield savings account into a trust, what is my risk? Or should I just leave it right here, get a little bit of return, take this little bit of $17.92 and give that to them in some form of a daily allowance? Their kids have almost $20 a day, and all they got to do is leave in the $300, and they're living off that interest. They can give their kids $537 a month, or they can pay for that car note, wondering why they have the new Mustangs. Woo! All right, you see the information, $33 there for your certificate of deposit, a very good one. I even went to the Goldman Sachs, and I think that one was only 2.5% return. And then I wanted to hit them with some more heavy information. Be sure to like and subscribe. Get those notifications. You can hit that bell button. Whenever we go live, you will get that notification. These notifications aren't just for the smart investors. These ain't just for the old gold. And if you like this content and know somebody else who might like this content, be sure to share. Back at it. Socioeconomic redlining is why we have a disadvantage. We're talking about those opportunities, right? We're talking about the new bills that passed, the opportunity zones, right? And the reason why it was Honda Accord and those people who lived in those neighborhoods were not the ones able to invest. Those people, when I zoomed out that map and showed you the blue section in the top right, the Roseville Galleria, the mall that actually had the real Gucci store. Not fake, not knock off the real Gucci. They sold Maseratis in the mall. Woo! The people who live in those communities, they'll say they made smart investment decisions like college. They set auto payments to avoid those late fees, overcoming that barrier of why they weren't the underbanked. They say they eliminated needless bills like cable TV. Shout out everybody that uses YouTube as their primary source of information when they want to log on to some TV. They cut their debt, including mortgages and car notes. And actually, we know with that Redline survey and that information that they also were not impacted by those variable interest rates like those who were in the redlined area. So they were given favorable mortgages that allowed them to sustain a low mortgage for 15 years. That is the time that it takes to actually raise one of these young kids. 15 to 18 years. Now they're off to college. Now, if you didn't have 7-8% that you had to spend on your mortgage, you can use that 7-8% on your investments and such. Your bill isn't that high. That monthly income is now reasonable for you. Like I said, you may need to move to the suburbs where it is a lower income, but not really lower income. What it actually is the homes were a little bit more affordable for that 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom, $1,400, but you had to have good credit to get there. But they also cut their debt, including their car notes. Because if they're not charged that high redline interest rates, they're able to save on that interest. I just showed you that the money market account, that high yield savings and that certificate of deposit, where you're sending your money, your direct deposit fresh from your account. Now you only made about $600 to $1,700, even with your education every week, getting paid on Friday. And in order to get all of that money without having to use what the underbanked people use, which is a check cash in place, you had an account set up at a real bank. You walked in and sat down and talked to somebody. You had to go in and sit down and talk to somebody like your credit cards weren't getting closer to being paid off, closer to zero. So you needed to talk to somebody. Like your savings accounts weren't moving up and up and up, but you were just teetering the line. You were flatlining. There were no major surges and increases when you got your tax returns. Woo. So they'll say they saved the change, including those dollar bills. They are frugal, thrifty, coupon. They buy in bulk. They say that they budget meticulously, 50% of their money. Look, I'm not going to let my bills get above 50%, 30. I am going to try to invest at least 30% of what I make, 20%. Now, if all of my bills are less than 50%, and I got 50% of my income left, and 30% of that I can save and invest, and I'm down to only spending 20. Life must be good. And they also say they protect their credit score. But this is what they'll say about those in those red line areas. They won't talk about the social and economic conditions. They won't talk about that unemployment rate that plagued us. They won't talk about the closing down of McClellan and what that did to our community. They won't talk about the depreciation of home value, the number one asset outside of that money market and savings account. That home. They won't talk about not being hired. Last hired, first fired. They won't talk about the lack of accumulated wealth. They won't talk about any of those things. They say get over it. They'll say that those who live inside those red line communities lack financial discipline. That's why they accepted the variable rate anyway, which is the false. It's a myth. If you didn't accept that variable interest rate, you weren't getting a loan, which means you weren't getting a home, and you got kids. They'll say it was frivolous spendthirst with insatiable thirst for immediate gratification. I know I put some big words in there. That frivolous. They said that you just did it without regard, reckless abandonment. Spend first. That 50% is not, you weren't living underneath 50%. You were spending 80, 90% of your money even on just your bills. So you had about 10 to 20% that you can actually try to save. And you weren't taking 30% of that and then saving it and investing 30%. And even if you was, what is the difference? What is the real difference? They'll say that you are financially illiterate and thus you need these programs. They'll say that you're fiscally irresponsible, which means even when you do have savings, you're going to trick it off at some point. It's just a matter of time. And you have something like a car you're going to want to try to cash out on, get that, that down payment up front for. So your $4,500 just went and bought that one vehicle. And how long did it take you to get that $4,500 in there? Let's just do the math. How many months does it take to save $4,500 if you only saving $400 a month? Now let's just do the math. Hold on. If you're saving $400 a month already, holla at your boy. I need to learn the tips and tricks. Because they'll say it's probably your addiction to drugs, gambling, and criminality. That you became a parent too soon. That you're uneducated and untrustworthy borrowers, that you are unskilled, and that's why those immigrants are taking your jobs, that you are low wage earner, that you can't keep a job to save. CNBC said 1 in 3 Americans have less than $5,000 saved for retirement. It's about 30%. Northwestern Mutual. That's what I knew I would write it down. Nearly 7 in 10 Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. I can break it down for you. That's Motley Fool. These are the investment people, gurus. If you need information about investing, hit up Motley Fool. Look at it, fool. Check it out. Just 4 in 10 Americans have savings they rely on in an emergency. That's bank rate. So what am I talking about? Multiple active shooting scenarios. Multiple active shooter scenarios. And you just need to get away. And they ain't send a warning. And you don't got no gas money. Paul Golden, a spokesman for the National Endowment for Financial Education in Dallas, is not a fan of the recommendation that you keep the equivalent of 6 to 9 months expenses in your emergency account. I know why he's not a fan. Because nearly 7 in 10 Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings. That means nearly 7 in 10 Americans have less than $1,000 for an emergency. You don't have an emergency account. You don't have an emergency account. Back to the pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You don't got boots. What's going on in our economy? What's going on in our capitalist economy? What's going on in our democracy? So let me tell you about stocks. I just grabbed a couple of screenshots and I'm gonna throw them on the screen for you as you see. We're going to go with this big one. That's my guy, Warren Buffett, the Northwest Mutual, the banking guy, Wells Fargo guy, the Berkshire Hathaway. This one stock. Why does all of this matter? You can't follow me. You might get lost, man. Stick with the kid. $319,837 per share in one trading period. It lost $754 worth of its value per share. I gave you a 10-year view on this rising chart on the bottom that goes all the way to the right. Shout out Seeking Alpha for the information, man. Shout out Seeking Alpha for the information, man. But back in 2016, when they were foreclosing on many of those, my bad, that was 2008. What was this 2016? I think I did this one because I know I'm gonna get to it. I just gotta get my mind right here because this is where it gets deep. Because $319,000 per share, and they were selling the homes next to us, our neighbors, for the price of a Honda Accord. You can get one share of this, or you can get all of those houses. And which one was the better investment opportunity? It was this. And when you go into those communities that was outside of ours, that was the blue areas, those were the good ones. That's where the home value was nothing less than $319,000. It was one share each. So where the money at? And where that cash at? The cash is in the income statement. Where if you read this chart from the top down, from the left to the right, like I've been showing you, I just needed you to be prepped and ready for this. Revenue business, man. That is your sales. Your price to sales ratio is going to be important. Because in 2014, that's Berkshire Hathaway with $319,837 per share as of 7/11/19. In 2014, their revenue, $40 billion, 0.69. Let's go down to the other revenues, $149 billion. And then total revenues, $189 billion. The cost of their revenues, $158 billion. So the gross profit, $30 billion. Where the money at? This is one stop. You'll see that number going up and up, and once you get there to 2018, not as profitable. There have been some changes to the accounting, how they worked it, and this, that, and the third, big business and all of that. But as you'll see in total revenues, they went from that 189 in 2014 to, what is it? My bad. Total revenues, 189 in 2014 to $247 billion in 2018. They're still growing. Billions and billions and billions of dollars. Some of the things that you look at when you're really trying to get into the nitty gritty: EPS estimate, the revenue estimate. That's the speculators who try to tell you how much money is we gonna make this quarter, and they give this type of information. They make it available to those who invest in them. BA, I thought it was right. The Boeing company, as listed on the New York Stock Exchange, $359. So if you only had about that $400 that you were looking to invest, is it a good one? Is it not? How do I know which one that I should be looking at? What are some of the things that I should be looking at? Should I look at, if you look all the way to the right, this is the 10-year view to show you that they're still going up. Yeah, they have some rocky roads, but is your money, are you even safe? First of all, if you're not safe, if you're not good, if a multiple active shooter scenario is something that you could not avoid, if you don't get the notification and there's nothing you could do about it, then maybe this is just for you. Because at some time you may have received $359 and you wanted to know what to do with it. What do I do with it? You may have went to the grocery store and ate it. For some of us, that's gas every month. Some others, amazing. Amazon, $2,000 per share. So that's if you done got up a little bit in your money market or your CD. If you got $2,000, you can put it in a CD, and they tell you they'll give you like a 2.5% return on that CD. But they gonna want like $2,000, which is the equivalent of one share in Amazon. Is it better to put your money with one share of Amazon versus CD? To each their very own. Their competitor over in China, since China is always a big talk, and the trade wars and the buying out of Africa and the partnerships on power and ports and infrastructure spending going to China and what they own here, how many of our T-bills and treasury notes that they're able to secure, like $100 billion worth of treasury notes per month. I think that's still the rate to which they're consuming our debt. Woo! And they only want $166 per share. You get about 3 of them bugs for that $500 or that $400 that you wanted to invest or that you had when you were like, what am I going to save on and for what? And some of the information that I looked at when I was looking at them was their revenue growth. How were they graded by their industry speculators? They were graded in A+. So much information out there. Got to bring you Lockheed Martin, one of my favorites because of the defense and aerospace. Defense. If they got to bring down some of those satellites and roving satellites and drones, and if they're going to be attacking white supremacy, trying to nip in the bud those who have these crazy manifestos and want to go out and kill people, and they've monitored and they know these people are guilty, and they decide to do to them what they did to the guy, I'm going to pause right there. Because Lockheed Martin would be one of those companies that creates the products that they would need or that our federal government would need to send out that alert or to send out that satellite or to send out that drone. And are they as a company worth invested in? What is their dividend yield? How much do they pay me? What is their annual payout? $8.80. What is their payout ratio at 51.81%? Their 5-year growth rate, compound annual growth rate, probably about 11.4%. It's pretty good, especially when my CD was only going to give me 2.5%. I want to see what their assets are. How are they selling? Price to sales. What is their cash and equivalents? How much cash do they just got sitting there hoarding? Since I'm not the one with the $40,000, somebody got to have it. It ain't me. And you mean to tell me that in 2014, the cash and equivalents that they just stick with me? I tell you, it seems a little bit scattered, but we going somewhere with this. I need to see my dividend. What is you gonna pay me per share if I invest in you at $368 per share? You gonna give me $2.20 per quarter, $8.80 per year. And some of us just need that push. If you're in that low income neighborhood where the homes next door are selling for the price of a Honda Accord, you can probably relate to going to Walmart to get your groceries. But can you relate to going to Walmart to cash out your stocks in Walmart? Whoa. Go and cash me out too on my Walmart stock, please. Because for those households, something like this makes a lot of sense. Number one, credit. Haverty's Furniture. They have a credit card. You might need that credit line open and available to you in order to afford something like a beautiful bed with a back baseboard. Some of us just get them from our grandmas, and that's cool. We got dressers and stuff, cabinets. But for those of us who don't got that luxury and you end up having to pay for it, either you're going to blow your savings right out of your account, spending $2,000 on a bedroom set, your tax return, or you're going to try to find a way to pay for it over time with the lowest interest rate that you can probably get. Target stock. Remember they used to have layaway programs at like Target and Kmart? Yeah, that's the real experience of the underbanked and unbanked. I go to Target, they have a credit card. Pier 1, Pottery Barn. And that's just for that. To join the gang notification gang, be sure to like and subscribe. You can hit that little bell and get alerts whenever I go live. And if you like this video and know somebody that also might like this video, be sure to share it. This is for the people who remember Young Mo from back in the day, man. For the people who remember Young Mo from back in the day, Sacramento, California. Let's go. Peace to the family, peace to that B1 network. Holla at you, King. So let me see, what else do I need to build on? Yeah, I was gonna go in. I think I'm gonna let them live, though. college recruiters. Oh yeah, this was interesting. Economics of the adult industry. I ain't gonna give you all that though. Hi, Mo from Jake Farm. Where I gotta go now? Give me a second. I ain't even looked in the chat and seen if anybody's still rocking with us. Brother Nubian, peace, brother. I'm finally looking back at it, man. The music should be a tad lower, but I'm glad your speaker volume is not too low. All right, I'm gonna still work on that. I gotta get a consult with my brother Information, man. And I probably should have been using this mic, so I'm gonna end this broadcast and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna hit you with another live one. Because they said we was gone, but we gotta come back and do this, man. Yeah.